Donald Trump? A name synonymous with wealth, excess and bankruptcy. Yes, before he was the leader of the free world, he was the self-proclaimed king of debt. This is a man who built an empire on casinos, and we all know how that usually ends up. But somehow, like a phoenix rising from the ashes of bad business deals, he convinced America to make him their commander-in-chief. America had a taste of Trump. They wanted more. He wasn't a politician, he was a businessman. He told it like it was, or so his supporters believed. He was brash, he was bold, and he didn't care what anyone thought. He insulted his way to the top. Politicians were too scared to speak their minds. Trump wasn't. His rise was meteoric. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. You knew it was going to be bad, but you just couldn't look away. He tapped into something dark and angry in the American psyche. He gave a voice to the voiceless, or at least the ones who were too busy screaming at their televisions to be heard. His rallies were legendary. Part pep rally, part hate fest. He'd stand there, orange glow radiating, hair defying gravity, and spew insults at anyone who dared question him. The media? Fake news. His opponents? Crooked. The system? Rigged, and his supporters ate it up. The year was 2017. The world watched in disbelief as Trump, a man who had never held elected office, was sworn in as the 45th President of the United States. It was supposed to be the beginning of the end, the death of democracy, the rise of the Cheeto-dusted dictator. Instead, it was just the beginning of 4 years of chaos, confusion, and enough Twitter meltdowns to make your head spin. Governing, it turned out, was a little harder than hosting a reality show. Who knew? Gone were the days of reasoned debate and thoughtful policy discussions. In their place were impulsive tweets, late-night executive orders, and enough scandals to make Nixon blush. Remember the Muslim travel ban, the border wall fiasco, the time he stared directly into the sun during a solar eclipse? The hits just kept on coming, and through it all his supporters remained loyal. They cheered his every move, defended his every gaffe, and dismissed any criticism as fake news. It was like watching a cult in action. The world looked on in horror as America, once a beacon of hope and democracy, descended into a reality show parody of itself. Ah, the tweets. Those 280-character grenades of chaos that Trump lobbed into the world on a daily basis. They were his weapon of choice, his way of communicating directly with the American people, bypassing the fake news media. He'd tweet about anything and everything. His enemies, real or imagined, his latest conspiracy theories, the size of his hands. Nothing was off limits. It was like watching a toddler with a Twitter account and access to the nuclear codes. And the tantrums? Don't even get me started. He'd throw a fit if he didn't get his way. He'd storm out of meetings. He'd insult world leaders. He once called the Prime Minister of Canada very dishonest and weak. It was like watching a grown man having a very public meltdown on a global stage. The world had never seen anything like it. A leader who governed by tweet and tantrum. It was both terrifying and strangely entertaining. Like watching a train wreck in slow motion. But the train was driven by a reality TV star with a bad spray tan. They say history repeats itself, first as tragedy, then as farce. Well, in Trump's case, impeachment was a 2-for-1 deal. 2 impeachments, 2 acquittals. It was like watching a reality show where the villain always survives to see another season. First, there was the whole Ukraine scandal, where he tried to pressure a foreign government to dig up dirt on his political rivals. Impeachment number 1. Then there was the little matter of inciting an insurrection at the Capitol, because he couldn't handle losing an election. Impeachment number 2. But each time the Republicans in the Senate, those brave defenders of democracy, or their own political careers, rode to his rescue, acquitting him of any wrongdoing. They were more afraid of his Twitter account and his base of supporters than they were of upholding the Constitution. Profiles in courage, they were not. The message was clear. Trump was above the law. He could do whatever he wanted, say whatever he wanted, and there would be no consequences. It was a sad day for American democracy. But hey, at least we got some good memes out of it, right? Section 5. The lawsuits and the lies. If there's one thing Donald Trump loves more than himself, and that's saying something, it's a good lawsuit. He's like the legal equivalent of a kid who throws a tantrum every time he doesn't get his way, and boy did he throw some tantrums after he lost the 2020 election. He filed lawsuit after lawsuit claiming voter fraud, election rigging, and every other conspiracy theory he could dream up. He even called up election officials, demanding they find him enough votes to win. It was pathetic, it was desperate, and it was all too predictable. But here's the thing, he lost every single time. His lawsuits were thrown out of court faster than you could say you're fired. The evidence of widespread voter fraud was about as real as his spray tan. But that didn't stop him from spreading his lies and conspiracy theories to anyone who would listen. He continued to hold rallies, spewing his venom and dividing the country even further. He was like a used car salesman trying to peddle a lemon to a bunch of suckers. And sadly, some people were still buying it. Section 6. Back in the Saddle 2024 and beyond. The year is 2024. The world is still reeling from pandemics, climate change, and the general sense that everything is going to hell in a handbasket. And what do the American people do? They re-elect Donald Trump because apparently the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's right, folks. The man who was impeached twice, who incited an insurrection, who lost the popular vote twice, who spent his entire presidency tweeting like a teenager, is back in the White House. It's enough to make you want to scream, laugh, or cry. Or maybe all three at the same time. How did this happen? How did a nation that prides itself on its democracy end up with a reality TV star as its leader twice? Some say it's because America has lost its mind. Others say it's because the system is rigged. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure. We're in for a wild ride. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be a bumpy 4 years. Section 7, America, land of the free, home of the willfully ignorant. The rise of Donald Trump and the unwavering support of his base, despite all the evidence to the contrary, has left many wondering, have Americans become willfully ignorant? Have they become so disillusioned with the political establishment, so distrustful of the media that they're willing to believe anything as long as it confirms their biases? It's a scary thought, but it's a question we have to ask ourselves, because if we're not careful, we're going to end up in a world where facts don't matter, where truth is subjective, and where those in power can get away with anything. We need to start demanding better from our leaders. We need to start thinking critically about the information we consume. And most importantly, we need to start talking to each other again, because if we don't, we're all going to go down together. Section 8. Is this the end of democracy? The very foundations of American democracy have been shaken. The peaceful transfer of power, once a cornerstone of the republic, is now in question. The will of the people, often manipulated by misinformation and outright lies, seems increasingly irrelevant. The question on everyone's mind is this the end of democracy as we know it? Has the American experiment finally failed? The answer, my friends, is up to us. We, the people, have the power to reclaim our democracy. We can choose to reject the politics of division and hate. We can choose to hold our leaders accountable. We can choose to build a better future for ourselves and generations to come. It won't be easy. It will require courage, determination, and a healthy dose of skepticism. But if we want to save our democracy, we have to try. Section 9. A nation divided. America, once a symbol of unity and strength, now stands as a stark reminder of the dangers of division. The political divide has become a chasm, separating families, friends, and communities. The rise of Donald Trump and his brand of divisive rhetoric has only exacerbated these divisions, leaving the nation more fractured than ever before. The path forward is clear, yet fraught with challenges. It requires a return to civility, a willingness to listen to opposing viewpoints, and a commitment to finding common ground. It demands leaders who prioritize unity over division, truth over lies, and the well-being of the nation over their own self-interest. The future of America hangs in the balance. The time for healing, for reconciliation is now. The choice is ours. Will we succumb to the forces of division, or will we rise above them and forge a more perfect union?